My dad, Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel for the ACLJ, is joining us right now. Dad, obviously you and the team have been hard at work, but there's some interesting new cases that are coming out of the ACLJ. We wanted to make sure as we head towards the end of this Life and Liberty Drive that we keep everybody updated.
We're going to have more detail on this tomorrow on the broadcast, but let me just start. We are representing the state of West Virginia. So the ACLJ is counsel to a state challenging these district court judges that are issuing nationwide injunctions against the executive order signed by President Trump. Now, the problem is a district court's jurisdiction is supposed to be very narrow, very limited to the locale where they're sitting. That's not the case that has happened now with President Trump. So here's what's going on. There's an emergency stay at the Supreme Court of the United States. We worked on this brief through the weekend and are ready to file it momentarily, hopefully. And it will, in fact, be, I think, the key brief on limiting the jurisdictions of these U.S. district courts that are instead of issuing their injunction covering, say, the Northern District of New York, they issue an injunction covering the entire country, even though they only sit in the jurisdiction for Northern New York. It has to stop. When we talk about law and order, when we talk about separation of powers, what's the president's authority, what's the judiciary's, the one thing the judiciary cannot be is a policymaker. But a lot of these judges have taken that element. And the answer to that at the Supreme Court needs to be, you can't do that. So we are front and center on that. Like I said, very significantly, and you'll have more details on it tomorrow, we are representing the state of West Virginia in this cause of action. We've got a lot of other cases breaking right now, but I want to spend some time on this, Logan, because it's the implications are very significant.
No, it's a big day and a big case that will come in. Like you said, tomorrow we're going to have my brother Jordan will be on. We're also going to have some friends from West Virginia joining us. So it's going to be a great show. You want to make sure you tune in for that. But Will.
Yeah, this is just obviously this is an issue everyone has been paying attention to and concerned about. But I think it's important to reiterate that at the ACLJ, we watch and we find the appropriate time to file in something like this so that we can make the strongest impact. That sometimes we want that immediate, how can we fight back? But this is the example of the ACLJ hard at work, finding the right avenue, the right representation to go after something that is an issue that I know that our listeners and members at the ACLJ are very, very concerned about. And this happens to be that moment.
Yeah, it is, Will. And let me talk to our ACLJ members and our ACLJ champions especially. Let me tell you this. This case is the repercussions, the reason we've got involved so aggressively and so quickly. This case has huge ramifications. I mean, gigantic ramifications. When you elect a president, they're supposed to be able to work through their executive authorities without a court doing what these courts have been doing. And they've been doing it pretty much without stop. Now, the Supreme Court has got this application. They've asked for a briefing. So this is it's going to move in days here. So I want everybody to understand this. But we have to fight back on this because what you have is an unelected judge somewhere in the country can issue with the stroke of a pen an order to stop the administration policy for the entire country. And then you ask yourself, well, why can't they stop that for foreign policy as well? And the answer is, under these judges' interpretation, they have authority to do anything. The answer has to be no. So, it's one thing that the government's fighting it, but now the states are fighting it. And I said, we're in a very unique situation, folks. And we are fighting back aggressively. I want to say also something to our ACLJ champions. We couldn't do this without you. We appreciate it so much. Also, to our ACLJ members, so continue to support the work of the ACLJ. Maybe you can become an ACLJ champion. We're in a matching challenge campaign, the last moments here, and we could use your support in a big way. These cases are, look, the one thing you know is these cases are complex. And they're different than what we've done in the past because they're moving at a different pace. So our Supreme Court team is fully engaged. I'm making sure that we're moving forward on these. Jordan is as well. And I'm very optimistic on where it goes. It's going to take some time. But like I said, the time on this, Logan and Will, is going to be days, not months on this one.
All right, so we'll keep updated on that. That's precisely when you'll hear from people like my dad, my brother, when there's really important, incredible things they need to come on and share. Obviously, Will and I are always going to be sharing the updates on the ACLJ. We're going to have on some of our incredible legal team that's here in studio, Harry Hutchinson or CeCe Heil. We're going to have a lot of those people always on this broadcast. We have great guests coming in. Rick Rennell's going to be joining us a little bit later in the broadcast as well. But know that everyone is hard at work. The ACLJ team is in full action. I think when you have a case like this, Dad, in West Virginia, it can get a little lost in what we're doing. When you look at what we're doing on a local level, like we said, we'll talk about, the grandmother who can't hold a Bible study. But on a bigger scale, the ACLJ can still get involved on these really world-changing, if not just America-changing laws that are happening right now as they battle against this administration.
No, you're absolutely right, Logan. And let me take it. You talk about like the Bible study can't happen in an HOA. So what if a court rules against us in a case like that and issues a nationwide injunction banning Bible studies from happening in neighborhoods? Now, that sounds absurd, but it's the same principle of when these judges don't have jurisdiction, they think they can, without limits, do whatever they want. So the answer has to be no. The way you handle this is not by just speaking and talking about it, which is important. You have to litigate it. And that's why we're honored to be representing West Virginia. Jordan will be on with you tomorrow to talk more about that. But it applies to any case. So this case involving jurisdiction is critical to moving things forward. We have to win this. It may take additional briefing. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, it's moving very, very quick.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.